beasts, aren't they? Chuffed to bits. The smallest little thornback. I'll just concentrate on not losing the rod over the side. And its eyes. It's got amazing eyes. Doggy in the boat. Covered in mullet. There's a bit of weight to that, you know. And that's what we want, don't we? We don't want the same all the time. We want something different, a good old show. Hello and welcome to the channel. I've got one rod in the water, which is jangling away as we speak, and I'm fishing. And I'm fishing on board the aptly named Motley Crew, owned by Jamie Eyers. And Jamie's in the background here. He's busy beavering away fishing, and my rod is jangling, and I think I've got a ting. I asked what this place was, and it's fondly known as the car park. and you can tell why it's called the car park by the sheer number of boats in the background, if the camera will pick them up. But there are 2, 4, 6. We're one of 8 boats that's out here at the moment. Yeah, so I've been very kindly invited out on Jamie's boat. It's been really interesting. He's got a lovely boat. My little buckaroo boat out in this sort of weather and this sea would have been bouncing around quite a lot. But yeah, so we're out fishing, we're chasing unicorns, we're catching tings and straps, some significantly sized straps. They're borderline conger, I suppose. What do you reckon, £10 to be called a conger? Isn't it?
Yeah, it's about £10.
Yeah, so
that stamp, really.
Yeah, so we've had some straps. I had a £2 ting. It was all but, I think it was £1 15 ounces. And I'm gonna have to bring this rod in because it's jingling away. I think I've got another ting. Oh, and we didn't get it on camera, but earlier I caught a ting that then got yaffled by a conger, by a strap, and I brought it up and it had the ting in its mouth. Should have had the camera rolling for that one, really. Oh. At least it's better than doggies. But that night I went out at midnight, I had 24 doggies before daylight, and it was bonkers. I seem to be catching the small tings at the moment. That's a tiny thing. That would make a good live bait size, that one. Should we save it for a live bait? Should we give it a go? What, through the nose?
Well, I normally just through the there sort of thing, just through the side, just so you don't.
Yeah, so you don't damage him too much. So a tiny little ting, but he's live bait. Because he's that perfect size. I'm going to give it a go. Ooh, you don't want to beat him up, dropping him around the boat. Yeah, just out the side of the mouth then, just to give him a little light hook in.
Yeah, just sort of light hook. That's it. You don't want to sometimes go through the top of
like that,
yeah,
literally like that.
You can end up killing them.
Yeah, I'll give him a go. Yeah, see what we can do. I'm guessing he's going to attract the attention of an eel. But yeah, he's still swimming. The thing is, he just can't swim away.
I love fishing with live bait.
You tend to get more aggressive. Yeah, where the panic. Yeah, and you see the
something behind it.
definitely see a panic in the rod tip, don't you? And then we'll put a light drag on that, I think, and see how we get on. So I've got one rod out with a live bait, about a 5-6 inch ting. See how we go. My prediction is I'm going to get an eel on that one. So at the moment I'm running ledger with squid and black lug, hoping for a unicorn. And on that one I've got a running ledger with a small ting live bait. All right, buddy. We want monsters. Yeah, tide's certainly starting to race a bit now, isn't it?
It's gone slow in here today, really slow.
I must admit, that day I went out with Wayne, we had between us in total probably 30 eels, maybe. I don't know. We lost count, to be honest. Funny enough, they were all pretty much the same-ish size, anywhere between 5 and about 8 pound, I think, realistically. We didn't weigh them, we was just T-barring them off. But that night that I went out at midnight, that was all doggies. I literally must have hit a doggy hole. It was just, it got ridiculous, to be honest.
Like that out here though, you just dog after dog after dog, and sometimes you just got to keep fishing through them.
Yeah. Well, I did eventually have that spotted, and it was a pretty little spotted, and it made it worthwhile, you know.
The sort of nab area, well, we call it, you know, the nab boys all over
Yeah.
there. That's quite a lot of the doggies sort of fish at times. Get some good whiting cod and that, but that can be a little bit like that.
You know, when you're getting proper service, and I don't mean service in the biblical sense, but service. Jamie's just bought me a brew, got a nice cup of coffee, and he's got a box of Chucky Picky and a Chucky Picky. And I shouldn't be eating Chucky Pickies because I'm getting a little bit heavy. And by heavy, I mean I'm getting fat. So I didn't have a bite, and then just as I've tightened up into this one, there's a bit of weight there. It might be a ray actually, because look at that. Yeah, that's not a ting. I'm not sure if that ain't a ray, you know. Look at the way it's just hanging.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. And it's got a bit of weight to it. Although it is coming. It's not actually... I don't think it's an eel. It's not shaking its head. It's got some weight to it. I think it might be a ray, you know. And it's moved. It's kited round. And I didn't see the bite. Yeah.
Interesting.
You seen anything?
No. It's a ray, is it right?
Yeah, it's a ray. I'll cheek it this side, mate. I'll just cheek it if it's what is it? Is it spotted, is it? No, if it's a little spotted, might as well have it in the net then. There you go. Yeah, he's a little spotted, isn't he? Oh, he's on his back. Ideal. What a pretty little fish. Loads of salt water in my coffee. It's lovely, isn't it? I do like a ray. I didn't see a bite for that.
Did you see the bite?
No, I just wound into it and then felt the weight. So, very quickly for the camera then, just unhook this little critter. A lovely little female spotted ray. Absolutely stunning. I love them. And that little clear bit, that must be all like their sensory organs and that, because obviously they're quite prolific hunters. And all those spikes on the tail. Is that lice there, look, on its tail? See if I can show you that. I'm going to take that lice off. There's 2 lice as well, isn't it? Sea lice on its tail. See if the camera will just pick that up. Ooh. Sea lice on the tail. And take those off. Do the fish a favour. Get rid of those. So just another quick show before I put her back. But I've taken 3 sea lice off her tail. So she's going to go back better than what she came up. Go on then, off she goes. I love them, I love rays. I'd never tire of catching a ray. So it's gone pretty quiet, there's not much going on, so I've just flappered a mackerel and a 5/0 hook. Just going to put it through and out, and that is going out like that. It's a big bait. If anything's going to winkle out a bigger eel, that's what's going to do it.
Cod fishing, there's no point moving from point to point to point. There's no point.
Because the fish swim through.
Exactly. With cod fishing as well, it's a sit out and wait game.
Yeah.
Because I've done it so many times where you've had a day like this and then suddenly,
From nowhere.
it all happens.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it just all turns on and off it goes. Bite after bite after bite. You've had like 2 or 3 cod in the space of an hour and a half.
Yeah. And then it switches off as quick as it's switched on, and that's because they've swam through.
I mean, there's a lot of bait fish out at the moment on the sounds. There's loads of it around.
Is there?
Yeah, poppets and poppets. I mean, I must admit, I ain't looked at it today, but I've noticed it's the same today. You'll see the pockets coming through. The bait fish, you know.
And what are they then?
Rats.
Swats.
Yeah.
If something's going for that mackerel flapper, it's got to be an eel, surely. That's a fair old chunk of weight, considering. That is bizarre. That was a really weird bite. There's a lot of weight on it, and yet there's nothing really going on. You're going to want to put a whole mackerel on now, aren't you? This is a whole mackerel flapper. That is bonkers. Either this doesn't realise it's hooked, what do you reckon? Eel or ray?
Well, I reckon.
It's not shaking its head. It's not aggressive like an eel normally is. Considering how much weight there feels in it. Oh, something's coming up to the surface. Still haven't seen it though. Still haven't seen it. The weight's up. What is it? Must be a ray, surely. Yeah, it's a ray. That was a whole mackerel. And is that another spotted? That looks like the same size spotted as earlier, but with a whole mackerel flapper. There we go, another cheeky little spotted. Look at that, it absolutely annihilated the rest of that mackerel. Look. That's all that's left of that mackerel, whole mackerel flapper.
It shows you, doesn't it?
I've got plenty of mackerel in the bag if you want to try one.
I'm after my cod.
You're after your cod still. Bit smaller than the last one, this one.
Yeah.
So another cheeky little female spotted ray. A little bit smaller than the last one, but welcome nonetheless. And that was on a whole mackerel flapper, which that surprises me, to be honest. The mackerel flapper was probably nearly as big as that ray. Let's put him back in. See what she does. She's in the water. Look at that, flew straight down. Straight down. I love it when they do that. Yeah, whole mackerel flapper. I'm going to put another one out. So I thought I'd show the rig. It's only about a 3 foot running ledger, and it's just got a sliding weight carrier between 2 beads, between 2 swivels. The reason why I put 2 swivels on is if you catch straps and small wheels like you do in the Solent, it gives 2 chances for it to spin, because the congers always come up spinning, and that trace has caught eels before, and you can see it's not totally trash because of 2 swivels. And then all joking aside, for the bait up, ooh, boat roll, ship roll, a whole mackerel flapper. That's a substantial bait. It's bigger than my hand. That just caught that little spotted, the same size as that. In fact, it might have been a little bit smaller than that, but that's what's going out. So I'm gonna clip that on. Beauty of a detachable hook snood. A weight kindly supplied by Jamie after he made these up, because I haven't got weights this big at the moment. A 1 pound weight. And we'll get it back out there. See what we can catch. Yeah, look at the size of that. We're hunting monsters. I need to bring that one in there. Oh, look at that. Jingle, jingle. Jingle, jingle on the other rod. Got a bite on the other rod. I think that's squid. Squid and black lug on that one. Tide's really running at the moment. It's a pound weight and I'm having to bounce it back to get it to sit nicely on the bottom. You're not going to catch anything up in the water column, or highly unlikely you'll catch anything up in the water column. And we might actually have an inquiry on that rod now, which we have. Something's found that squid. So it's all live, all go here now. Put the clickers on. Let's have a look at this one, see what we got. Can't really feel any weight. There's something on there. Might be a ting. What have we got here? Is that a strap? What is it? Oh no, it looks like a ting. What do I do, buddy? Do I go squid on the other one, or do I suppose it's defrosted, I might as well use it up, and that's squid and black lug. Edge my bets, mackerel on one, squid and black lug on the other. Get this rod back out.
Puff and blow, and I think you're going to now see me puff and blow.
I must admit, what was quite nice, me and Wayne both, we had double eel.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, we both had £10 eels on at the same time. Yeah, I say £10, roughly £10, £8–10. And we both got the bites at the same time. I even said to the camera, I think this is a double eel hookup. And it was, we both had eels on at the same time. Which was quite good. Right. It's giving you a bit of a scrap, isn't it? Is it coming round, is it?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
cod.
Cod. That isn't an eel. Right, 2 secs, mate. 2 secs.
Close the trap up. Close that trap up and you get the grate. Now that side. Tough off seagulls. Don't even try to think about. I was going to film it for when you get your one.
Right, 2 seconds then. So, I don't want you to lose that. I don't want you to lose that. I don't want you to lose that. Right, ready when you are, buddy. He's got a big old mouth on that. Oh. He's in. Well done. Well done. Look at the size of that. What a beauty. There you go, bud.
Lovely, thank you very much. That'll do me nice.
That is absolutely stunning.
There's obviously something chomping on weights out there as well.
Oh, you lost your weight.
Good stuff.
Good man.
Right, get your baits out there, they're around.
Good man. What do you reckon as a guess for size? We'll show it to the camera anyway in a sec, but what do you reckon?
6.
Yeah?
I'm guessing 6.
I'll go 8.
Yeah, you reckon it's 8?
I think so. We'll find out, won't we? Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's 4 days fishing for 2 cod.
Yeah, no. It shows the amount of effort it takes. They don't just jump out of the water at you, do they?
No, they don't. That's been on there ages. Absolutely ages that's been on there.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, because I've just...
You saw the bite?
See the bite for ages.
And it just didn't go like a train.
No.
He sat there. He probably sat finning into the tide, to be honest, because it is racing now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm not stealing Jamie's thunder, but what a stunning fish. It is absolutely fin perfect. Interested to see how much it weighs? Look at the size of that mouth. It is an absolute stunner. Congratulations, mate. I'm really pleased with it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Right, I'm going to load up
I'm quite chuffed as well, actually.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. There's a lot of people out here at the moment that are all chasing that exact same thing. A decent sized cod. And that's a really nice eating size as well, isn't it? That's quite interesting though, isn't it? Everyone's going and actually...
You know what? Over the years, I've found that you get to like this time of day and fishing just comes on again.
Yeah.
Everyone's going and you think, do you know what, I've got the time on my hands, I'm just going to stay.
Do you know what I did? I did that Chesil film, seriously, and that was exactly the same. Just as my rods were going nuts, everyone was packing up and leaving.
Yeah.
I had a cracking evening that evening.
It definitely helps if you've got no sort of time restraints and you know, everything's all good and it's keeping you at school and all the rest of it and keep in touch. And you think, well, you know what, I'm going to stay. I feel a bit more confidence.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off, sometimes it don't, does it? You know,
Yeah, no.
you stay.
It's all about time spent, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to put the time in sometimes. That is a gorgeous looking fish.
I was not expecting that.
I thought it was an
really
eel.
was.
Even by the way you were
really
reeling in, I
was.
thought it was an eel. 5, yeah, well done, mate. Yeah, even called it. Even called it. Just short, what was that, 5.5?
We've got 5, it's bouncing on the 5.
That seems to be the stamp though, doesn't it? £5 to £6 in the Solent at the moment.
5, 6 ounces sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you say £5, you went
Yeah.
far wrong, are you?
Nice.
It's all right.
Yeah, cracking. Happy days.
It is a 7 rod.
Just caught his rod before it went over the side. And when you look at the angle it's actually at, that was you only got about a foot sticking out, haven't you? That must have been quite substantial, whatever that was. It's all exciting. Everyone's left, we're still here, and it's all lighting up. It's all good. I've got something here, but I think it might just be a big ting. Or a ting. Saying that, I think it's just spat it. Yeah, I think it's just spat it. You spat me bait. Considering the size of that bait, looks what's left of it. Yeah, just shredded it. Absolutely shredded it. Right, let's get that other one out.
This shows you how scarce these cod are though, doesn't it, really?
That you just pick one out when actually there should be a shoal of them there, really, shouldn't they? You should be able to chuck a rod down and pick a couple of 3 more out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you think how many boats are out here doing the same thing and you just don't hear of them.
Yeah, but unicorns. If you hadn't seen one, you wouldn't believe they were even here. But that was on your uptide rod, was it?
Uptide,
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So it
And I've seen it
worked.
nodding for ages and I thought, it's probably just waiting and get that a bit later.
Yeah.
That was probably me. I'm thinking, it's going that way, and I'm thinking that's not like an eel.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a bass. You know, sometimes a bass will travel up, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Bit of weight.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not doing a lot though.
Hanging.
Hanging, yeah.
Oh, no, that's broken up.
I'm not going to call this, you know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'll go Ray.
It's coming back.
Is it?
Yeah.
And lifting by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Ray? Be lifting with the current, wouldn't it? With the tide. Oh no,
eel.
big eel.
Fair eel.
Decent size eel.
Get him over from the oars. Like that, do you? I can see it.
It's that pull back they do, isn't it? How they get the traction in the water like that, I don't know.
When I've been big conger fishing, we've had it over the side of the gunnel, 3/4 of it's in the boat, and it's still managed to get back over.
Really?
Just,
Yeah. Do you need Dan? Push them in.
out that water a little bit, you can get them sorted.
Yeah, quite a head on him, that one, didn't he?
Yeah, they're all size.
I'm out of my boat, beavering away fishing, battling the elements. It's cold, but there's very light winds, but it's pushing me around. There's very light tide, so the fish aren't really biting at the moment. I'm waiting for the tide to swing and change. So we're just at the top of high tide, just on the slack on the turn. As it starts to run out, I expect it to liven up. But the boat's facing that way, so the wind's pushing the boat that way, and the tide's pushing my rigs that way. It's not ideal. Not ideal at all. And at some point, it's all going to change and I'm going to swing round. But yeah, so I'm out on my boat. It's all exciting stuff. I've got my new bait table, which is making fishing from the back of the boat. Oh, massive difference. A doggy. Twisting like they do. But yeah, one doggy. He was nicely hooked, even though he's foul hooked, it was only lightly hooked. Get him back in the water. Didn't even see the bite on that one, if I'm completely honest. Right, let's have a little bit of a cockatail. So I've got that squid head. Might as well use it. I'm going to put that on, and then just to mix things up a bit, just to add a bit, a long strip of mackerel. See if they like that bad boy. Come on, fishies. We don't want doggies, but then it's slack water, and doggies do, you know, that's a given, isn't it? Slack water, doggies and straps. When the tide starts racing, when it starts running, we might get a bit of a show, something different. As always, I loves a ray. I loves a Raymond. There's a chance of a unicorn. We'd love a unicorn today. That would be amazing. Seagull just, as I cast that out, a seagull actually did go for it. I've got a whole flock of seagulls just off watching me like hawks. Seahawks. Until this tide and wind sort themselves out, I'm not going to put the other two rods out, because I will get into a tangle. Definitely. Right, let's have a little bit of a tidy up and sort some bait out. Just taking the fillet off this mackerel, and then all the bits and pieces chop up, and it goes in. It goes in because hopefully something's going to go, oh, someone's chucking food in the water over there. Chuck it in close to the boat, otherwise the seagulls are going to be down for it. Got to be careful with the bait table that the seagulls don't come down for the bait table. Cheeky monkers. Just making up some chunk baits, I think, because while while we're feeding doggies, I don't want to just burn through loads of bait, and I don't really want to waste too much squid, to be honest. I'm sort of saving that for the good stuff. Yeah, out in the boat, winter's day, it is cold, snow's forecast, igloo fishing, building snowmen. Boat was frozen this morning, absolutely frozen solid. I had a job to get the cover off. Just wish this tide and this wind would sort itself out, just so it'd fish a bit nicer. It's all a bit of a struggle at the moment. Getting an inquiry on the right rod. The right rod's never the wrong rod. Have a look, let's have a feel. A little bit of weight to it, but I'm guessing it might be a doggy. Got no real fight to it, but it's got some weight. I think it might be a doggy. Until this wind and tide decides what it's going to do. It's another doggy. Doggy, doggy, doggy. Yeah, that just come up like a dead weight. Nothing to it at all. You like that squid, Ed? He's just spat it out. So the doggies are certainly out to play. We don't want too many of those, but we need the tide to start running, and then we'll get our way through those. I'm baiting up 2 spare rigs at the moment, 2 spare traces, so I can just continually just clip on. So I've got another one ready to go here. And this one's got mackerel and squid wrap. Not I think makes much difference at the moment because I'm feeding doggies, and I'm only using a 9-ounce weight, which isn't too heavy because I could even go lower, I suppose, because there's not much going on tide-wise. But I do want to make sure it's nailed to the bottom. It's pointless being out there if it's not nailed to the bottom. Yeah. Boat is swinging all over the place. All over the place. It's hard to know where to put it. Where to put the bait. Bites I'm getting at the moment are really gentle, so I'm into something here. I'm guessing it's going to be a doggy because this tide's still not running properly, and it's and while it's slack and with fish baits, the doggies seem to be pretty prolific, to be honest. Yeah, it's another doggy. 3 for 3. It's doggies. Doggies everywhere in the bucket, chap. 3 for 3. It's just doggy put. Once this tide starts to run, we should see a change. But until it does, I'm just feeding dogfish. Let's get you unhooked, buddy. It's alright. If you give me a chance, I'll get it out. There you go. You like that bait? That was the mackerel squid wrap. But the one I want to try next, it's just a sliver of mackerel with a squid head like a muppet. People put muppets on their rigs. Why not put a real squid on as a muppet? See, when I lower that into the water just to see which way it's going to sit and what it's going to do, it is literally just sat there. It's not going one way or the other. We're right on slack, which is why the doggies are about. Doggies love the slack, but if the doggies are there, there's a chance something else is as well. I tried to cast it then with my clicker on. You don't really want to cast it with your clicker on. One, it slows the line down, and when I say cast, I only lobbed it out of the back. Yeah, so that mackerel and squid wrap is to their liking. Bit of ground bait. And this is another mackerel and squid wrap. I'm going a little bit smaller in bait because, like I said, I'm feeding the doggies. Don't want to burn through my bait too. I don't want to peak too early, as Mrs. W says. You're going to peak too early. All right then, I'll hold on. Don't want to peak too early, burn through all your bait, and then just as it gets interesting, you got none left. And I don't know if you can see that, but that hook point is really proud. Probably too proud, to be honest, but I like to experiment, you know, I like to have a little play, see what's going on. I'm going to have that one in a minute, because these doggies, they're not giving much of a bite, you know, they're just sitting on it. So this one's a bit chunkier than that last couple, so he's a bit of a lively critter. Get him back in, he's just been in the bucket, and away they go. Sometimes when you put them in like that, they try to swim up out of the water. I don't know why they do that. You'd think they'd want to go straight down. Maybe they're a little bit confused. The tide's just started to pick up. And with it, straight away, everything's livened up. So I've just had a ting on the other rod. Got the reel into a massive bird's nest. Why, I don't know. Looks like I've got a doggy on this one, and I've picked up the other line. This just goes to show, doesn't it, with the rods and the boat slewing around. But yeah, this doggy's got me in a right old mess. With my other line, I don't know how he's managed that. This is where it's helpful if you can just unclip. Makes it easier to deal with. Just unclip him, put him in there. There's 2 fish in the bucket at the moment. There's a ting and a doggy, maul of a tiz. Let's just get a bait out, eh? Not even a bait ready yet. I'll sort this mess out and I'll get back to you in a minute. I've got myself in a right old mess. But as soon as the tide's changed, everything else has changed. So, tings. And still into the doggies. And away they go. I think I've got an inquiry on that rod. Gonna have a little lift and a look. I was tempted to go down in hook sizes, just because if there are tings about, then there might be pouting and all the other stuff that go with it. And I'm fishing quite big hooks at the moment. I've got 6 O's so that I can load them up with bait. And what I've just been putting out is a long, thin strip of squid with a bit of chunk mackerel. Nothing tied down, nothing elasticated. Just leave it as loose and as flowing as possible. Now the tide is starting to move. I feel that is the way ahead. With the tide movement, you know, that flapping and movement and stuff in the water. What are you trying to say, Mark? I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, I think you use the tide to help present your bait better. At slack tide, it's all just sat there. Doesn't seem to really be doing much. But when the tide's running, when you get that movement, I think that's what helps switch the fish on, you know. The fish come out on the feed and they want something that moves, even if it's just a little flutter, just to initiate the take. So one thing I will say, absolute necessity on your boat, Leatherman. Tool of jack of all trades, master of none. Good set of pliers and a decent sized Leatherman, not like one of the little tiny jokey size ones. Proper, I think this is a 100, decent size. Give something a bit of butch if you need to. Everyone likes a bit of butch. Really getting my boat organised now, nice and tidy. Obviously I've got all the added bit of all the camera gear and everything, but with the bait table, and I've lent the bait table backwards, because obviously all the juices and stuff when you're prepping your bait back into the splash well, and then they got drains out and it's easier to wash out. I need to put a significant hole. You can run a hose off of this boat tray. There's a hose connection bit. I'm just looking underneath here. You can put a hose off the back and then run it. I could even run the hose into one of the actual drain holes, or very close to. Maybe not block the drain hole because they're there for a reason. Oh, got a bite on the left rod. Bit of an inquiry. That'll be a ting, I think. Bit of movement and the tings have arrived. Trouble with the small tings, because you're fishing with decent sized weights, the smaller tings you struggle to feel them. They're only about the same size as the weight. Yeah, let's strip that bait. Only a short trace because there was no tide. I might go longer trace now actually. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but that's a fairly short trace for a running ledger when down tiding from a boat. But it's slack tide when nothing's moving very much. You don't want lots and lots of line out there, because you're more likely to get tangles and the bait doesn't present well. Now it's starting to run a little bit. I'll swap over to the next length. So that might be 2.5 foot length trace. This is more like a 4 foot one I think now. So I don't know if you can see, significantly longer, but that's because the tide's running more. So you've got different size hook snoods for the different states of tide. When the tide overcomes this weight, we'll go up a size and weight. So increase the length of the hook snood and increase the weight. I do like the way that presents itself. You look at that in the water. When you lower your bait over the side and you see the tide take it, the current, and then you can see that piece of white squid with a nice chunk of mackerel on it. Two of their favourite things. It's like having cheesecake but with ice cream. Like them both individually, but together they're amazing. That's probably why I'm a little bit overweight. Because I like ice cream with my cheesecake. It's not much. Right, so I'm gonna, in the whole state of keeping tidy, I don't need this now. I'm gonna put this hook snood away. Certainly getting some movement now. Wind's picked up a little bit, nothing of any significance, it's still comfortable, but you can definitely see the water's got more movement to the top surface of the water. Tide's changed, wind's picked up a little bit, and I think, oh, that's my phone. Who's phoning me? Rocket Ron. I'll give him a call back because I've got bait all over my hands. Give my hands a bit of a wash. I've only just put this bait down and this one is jingling away. I don't know if I've got anything on it. Just talking to one of the other guy from work who's fishing over there. Rocket Ron is out in his boat. It's had a chew at it, but it hasn't actually taken it. Oh, it's taken the mackerel bit off it, and it's left the squid. Let's put another little bit on there. And it masked the hook point. That's what we're talking about, see? Got to have the hook point showing. So it was nibbling away at that, and it couldn't get it because the hook point was masked. At some point it had managed to do something with it. So it was jangling away. There was something there, and it obviously managed to take all that mackerel, and the squid ended up covering the hook point, which is why it never got snagged. Hook point's everything. But they're about now. Tide's starting to move. Movement in the tide, and that's all we need. I've put out pretty much half a side of mackerel. Let's turn that round slightly. And I'm pretty sure it's a doggy. It's not fighting like an eel. But as soon as the tide starts to run, obviously everything amplifies with that, and it is just a doggy spun up on his way up, but they feel a lot heavier once you get them in that tide. Put them in the bucket. I've got a bucket of fish. I've got a ting in there that we just had, and then we've got a doggy. But yeah, things are livening up, things are moving, things are happening. You're not even a big doggy, to be honest. Take that hook snood off so I can deal with it. Detachable hook snoods, they're a boom, they're good. You can sort yourself out and have pre-baited ones up ready. So, another doggy, I've lost count now, I don't know how many that is. And a pretty little ting with lots of life left in him that would have made a good life bait actually, but he's away, he's free. Fly, be free. And this rod's jangling. It's hard to keep a bait in the water. It's hard to keep a bait in the water. We're not catching anything significant. Just freshen up the water. Nice clean bucket of water. Still sticking with the same 9 ounce weight, so I was probably overweighted earlier, but it's about right now. I don't think it'll be long until I have to increase the weight, and that is quite a long trace. So that is about a 3.5 foot trace with a lovely big squid on the end. Seagulls watching me. Not having this, mate. This has been fishy. I haven't even seen the bite. But in this tide, there's a bit of weight on that. No head shaking, so I'm guessing it's a doggy. Slightest bit of movement. So don't think it's an eel, which thankfully, yeah, it's a doggy. Thankfully, I haven't had much in the way of eels. I don't know what the difference is with this ground, but I haven't had eels so far today. Don't want to speak too soon. In the bucket with you, my mate. I'll get you unhooked, unclipped. So all I've done there is unclip the trace. I've got another trace ready to go on the bait table. Fish is in the bucket, still hooked. Get the bait over the side. One hand for me, one hand for the boat, because it's starting to get a little bit rough. And I've got to keep an eye on the seagulls at the moment, because seagulls are taking a lot of interest in my bait table, me and my bait. They must be short of food. It must be that time of year when food starts getting a bit scarce for them, I suppose. I don't know. Need to get out there and catch their own. Temperature's dropped again as well. I think it's because the wind's picked up. It's like the wind chill factor. Not the X factor, the wind chill factor. Oh, there's a good bite on there. I think that's quite a significant bait on that one as well. That's the one with the big squid on, isn't it? Let's have a pick up and a feel of that. That was quite a rattle. Oh, yeah, something's woken up. Again, a bit of weight, but it's just when you're fishing with the heavier weights anyway, and you got the tidal run, and then you got the whatever this is that's having a muck around. I'm guessing it's a doggy. It doesn't feel like an eel. Hard to tell, you know. Where is it? Yeah, it's another doggy. Could have been the same one, just a greedy one. Come back for more. I don't know. I'm hoping if I fight my way through these today, something else is going to appear. Oh, and he's just spat that out. It's made a mess of my bait and then spat it out. Bit of chop. Anchor's holding nice. Really pleased with my anchor setup now. Anchor setup's pretty good, to be honest. I've got just over a boat length of chain, 5 kilo anchor. It's a Bruce anchor. Yeah, just over a boat length of chain, 5 kilo anchor, 10mm rope, A4 buoy, and an ordinary ring. That's my anchor setup. It works really well for the Solent. I think it's turned into a bit of a dog fest. Another doggy, I think. No head shaking, so it's not an eel. Didn't even see a bite, if I'm completely honest. I just thought it was time to lift up and have a look. And yeah, we got another doggy. I must be at the kennel. I'm going to mark this place on my fish finder, on my plotter, as the kennel. So he's in the bucket. Get myself a... Right, I've got myself a shot to nothing spectacular. That is a whole mackerel head and half the body. And if I can get it in the water before the seagulls come down and get it, I'm hoping that's going to help winkle me out something else. It's funny, when they go into the bucket, they settle right down. So he's just sat there, calm, placid, has a little nudge around. Obviously it's unusual, but he's in water, he's happy. If I put him on the deck, he'd go absolutely crackers. So it's nice to put them in the bucket. They do settle right down. It's something I like doing when I'm beach fishing as well. If you're going to T-bar them at the side of the boat, straight back in the water, brilliant. If you're trying to sort yourself out in the bucket of water, they're just calm, keeps everything nice. And because I didn't see this bite, this little critter has taken this hook quite deep. Right, let's get him to the side. Come on, bud, because then I'll get you in. Panel as well. I don't know if you see that as a trick. That was the one with the pennelled squid. But the trick is to hook both hooks. He had taken both hooks, but grabbed both the pennels in the T-bar. Oh, wind and tide's picked up, and I've just picked something up here. Oh, that's going well. I don't know what that is. This might be interesting. Unless it's just, yeah, it's got a bit of go in it. But then it might just be because of how strong the tide run is at the moment. But no. I was starting to wonder if I needed to go up a weight, because where the tide's picked up now, tide's picked up, and I was worried that it was lifting my weight. So I've just fresh baited with 2 really big squid on each of these rods, and this one started to pull on the drag. Be interesting to see. Might just be a doggy. You Yeah, they do tend to. Oh no, it's an eel. Tide's running, and we got an eel. It was a more aggressive take. And you do tend to get that with the eels. Right, I'm trying a routine here. It's not a big eel, but I don't want him to trash my rig. In fact, he's not that big at all, to be honest. Not compared to what they can be. But there we go. What we tend to call a strap. I was wondering when one of those was going to show up, and it seems to be with the tide. Obviously switched on to hunting mode. There he goes. Made a right old mess of that bait. Yeah, so I was wondering when the first strap would arrive. And he arrived with the tide. These are the size squid that I'm using. Pretty big, to be honest. And I'm holding out that distant hope of a unicorn. I'd love to catch a cod. The two swivels on these rigs make a big difference when catching fish like that, because those straps really do spin. Once you get them to the surface, they spin quite a lot. And if you get one of your swivels binds for any reason, and when I mean bind, just even under tension sometimes, then what happens is that works its way all the way up your line. It trashes your rig and it trashes your main line as well. But by putting those two swivels in, you double the chance of it not happening. You're not relying on one. And even if the rig does get knotted and tied up, the one before the main line catches it and still is free. That looks okay. I'll check it again in a minute, make sure it's actually on the bottom. And while we've been doing that, this one looks like it might have something small. Turn that camera around. If there is something on this, it's only small, and I'm due to change the weight anyway. Yeah, what have we got here? A ting! Thought it was only small. What I'm doing at the moment, routine, because it's rough, I'm laying my rod against a towel to stop it from clattering the weight around and not having to disconnect every time. Little ting. That would be a good live bait size. But he's free. He's away, off to his mates. So again, wind's picked up, getting a bit choppy in my little boat. Need to keep an eye on it. Got no movement on this at all. No head shaking, no nothing. So it's unusual for a doggy now the tide's racing like this, but I don't know. Hard to call. What have we got? It's a doggy. Doggy in the boat. It's a doggy fest. Weather's starting to change a little bit now, and it's not what was forecast, to be honest. Forecasts are usually pretty good. It's getting a bit lumpy out here now. And when I say lumpy, well, I've just had something on this, a little inquiry. Oh, yeah, and there's a bit of weight. And there's also a little bit of fight back. This might be an eel. No real head shaking yet though. Yeah, not too sure what this one is, to be honest. I know what I'd like it to be. With a huge, great big squid on. I'd love it to be a cod. There's a bit of head knocking. I'm going to go easy on this, just in case. Possibly a strap. Yeah, I don't know. That was a bit twingy for. No, it's a doggy. I just can't get away from them today, can I? Just can't get away from them. Another doggy. So there's 2 doggies in the bucket at the moment. I'm collecting doggies. Right, let's sort this out. Doggies in a bucket. It's like a new game show. Right, that's one doggy unhooked. So it's a doggy session, to be honest. Let's get some meat because these are both nicely revived. Doggies in a boat. And away they go. Away they go. I had just poured myself a coffee as well. You know what happens when you pour yourself a coffee. Oh, nice boat. Nice deck space. Get boat envy. You look at other people's boats, don't you? Oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. I like my own. Oh, I think I've got a bite on the other rod. It is non-stop, but it is literally a doggy fest. Right, so let's bait up another hook snood. It's difficult fishing at the moment, getting bounced around quite a bit. You're gonna have to decide when to make a call and knock it on the head. Whoa, as you can see there. Getting a bit lumpy. Just starting to see the white crest. Just a bit of white cresting on top of the waves. That's usually a good sign. Usually a good sign that that's enough. Enough's enough. But we've still got a bit of the run of the tide. And without pushing your luck, you should never push your luck, there's a chance of a unicorn. And if there's a chance, I want to have my chips on the counter, you know. I'll have my chips on the counter, in with a chance. You've got to be in it to win it. If you ain't got a bait in the water, you ain't going to catch one, are you? Oh, someone's coming up to visit. I think that's Rocket Ron, you know. I bet that's old Rocket Ron coming up to say hello. We've got a guest. Steaming up in the distance. I don't know if you can see him. Where is he? Oh, one of my rods started going then. This is where boat envy comes in, because Ron's got a nice boat as well. You're going to see him when he comes in. Comes in the shot. Yeah, he's on his way in. Howdy do, partner! Just doggies, mate. And he's just stripped my bait. Yeah, it's just been a dog fest. Well, of all the fishing boats that were here, now there was only one, and that's me. Because it's getting pretty lumpy, to be honest. And I just had a bite on this, but I don't think I've got anything. So when these 2 rods are in, I'm going to call it a day, I think. Make my way back. What have we got here? Nothing. Nothing, just my bait. Yeah, so it's been an interesting day. I'm going to put this on my plotter, on the plotter that I've got there, and I'm going to call this the kennel. Because all it is dogs. I don't know how many dogs I've had today. I've shown a few. I've caught a lot more that I haven't actually shown. And when I say that, I mean that in all sincerity. I must have had a dozen plus shown on camera, and probably a dozen plus that I didn't. Absolute doggy fest. It's been crazy. But it's better than blanking, and it's better than catching nothing at all. And you're probably wondering, why are you cubing that up and putting it out? Even though you're not fishing anymore. I like to feed the fishes, and it was going to get thrown away anyway, so they might as well have it. Put that weight down there. Clip this up nice. So it's all nice and tidy. You know I like to be tidy. Got to do the anchor pull in a minute as well. Using the ordinary ring and buoy. Put everything in its place. You want things crashing around. Get rid of this water. Don't need to carry all that weight. So it's been an interesting session for no other reason that I don't think I've ever caught as many dogfish. Dogfish and a couple of tings and one strap of about 2.5 pound, 2.75 pound, I don't know, something like that. I don't weigh them, I T-bar them off and put them over the side. But yeah, so I'm just about to lift the anchor and shoot off back. As ever, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure, as always. Tight lines, happy fishing. Hope to spend some time with you again sometime soon. And hopefully catch something a little bit more significant. This time of year, it's hard work, isn't it? Got the sun right in my grid there. It's really nice though, really nice. You feel the warmth of the sun. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.